Our work is on Wikum Plus, a system for interleaving discussion and summarization in online collaboration. When collaborating, groups typically discuss in a tool like Slack and then move to a separate document writing software like Google Docs. But this means that the document loses its link from the discussion that generated it and can result in scattered and lost ideas. The upfront work for the initial writer can be significant, and the writer themselves may be biased, reducing inclusiveness. Instead, Wikum Plus interleaves the discussion and synthesis phases to allow for continuous discussion and feedback loops, creating living summaries, which grow with new discussion and shrink as the deliberation comes to a consensus and is merged. This process allows for users to trace how the document evolved. A user starts off on an empty Wikum Plus page and can begin by creating their first comment. Other users can then join in on the discussion page and add their own thoughts. Notice that the comments shown here are in blue, representing comments in an unsummarized state. Once users are done discussing an idea, they can summarize that thread and cite anything that they are summarizing. This creates a summary, shown in orange. Now, the originally blue unsummarized comments became collapsed underneath and turned yellow, representing summarized comments. Users can then recursively summarize the entire conversation. This pulls in sub-summaries and unsummarized content into a single orange summary node. This top-level summary can be seen as a collaborative document built up from the discussion. Now, when a new reader comes in, they see the summary first, but it can be expanded to see the original comments underneath. If discussion gives them a new thought, they can leave a new comment under the summary. The summary icon updates into a partial summary state to show that the summary now needs to be updated to incorporate the new comments. Another user might deem the summary incomplete, biased, or poorly written, and can flag the summary as so. Finally, someone can update the summary to include that new thought. Then, if they believe that the summary reflects the new comment, they can evaluate the summary and mark that the comment was included. Since all of the comments are now included, the summary icon returns back to orange, representing a fully summarized state. We first conducted a within-subject study consisting of smaller groups. Each group worked closely to create 2 proposals, one in Wikum Plus and one using both Slack and Google Docs. This graph shows the default number of words shown on each interface over time. In Wikum Plus, this value includes the words in summaries and unsummarized comments because summarized comments are collapsed. In the control group, this is just the total word count. We can see that after users ID'd for a while in Wikum Plus, they interleave discussion and summarization, causing the conversation to grow and shrink. On the other hand, in the control, users work mostly in 2 stages, one involving discussion followed by edits in the doc. The dark blue here represents post-summary comments in Wikum Plus that reopened existing summaries for more discussion and allowed for iterative improvements, a phenomenon that was not seen in the control. We also found that users reused strategies from Wikum Plus when working in Google Docs afterwards. However, unlike in Wikum Plus, the control proposals lacked direct references back to the discussion. Users reported that it was easier to locate both new ideas and topics that still needed work in Wikum Plus, allowing for more summary improvements. Users also found that the writing process in Wikum Plus was significantly more organized than in the control. When evaluating the final proposal, we found that Wikum Plus users wrote more concisely, while users introduced greater narration in the control, resulting in what users deemed a higher quality of writing. This was likely a result of the bullet point structure from the sub-summaries created in Wikum Plus. Overall, users found Wikum Plus to be a more cooperative and inclusive experience than in the control, with the majority of users preferring Wikum Plus over the control as a system. We then conducted a between-subject study with 2 larger groups over a longer period of time, with staggered entry times for participants. While both conditions had comments disagreeing with summary content, these post-summary comments in Wikum Plus resulted in updated summaries to include more possible solutions and opinions, while in the control, these comments were left unresolved since the control users went with the majority vote as the deciding factor for which opinions to include. As a result, Wikum Plus users expressed a significantly greater feeling of inclusion in the post-study survey. Since more opinions were included in Wikum Plus, users felt that the proposal was also more comprehensive. Independent raters scored the Wikum Plus final proposal higher in quality, comprehensiveness, and success. Overall, Wikum Plus allowed for greater organization and lightweight coordination in smaller groups and more inclusion and comprehensiveness in the resulting document in larger groups. You can check out Wikum at Wikum.org. Thanks for listening.